Customs and Border Protection nixes a site recommended for its new facility. Community members have advocated for Border Patrol's proposed facility to be placed somewhere near the intersection of State Route 12 and Interstate 81 rather than along the St. Lawrence River. The area was referred to as the Cloverleaf. At the end of last month, however, CBP formally rejected that site in an email to Assemblyman Scott Gray. It says the property is visible from above when crossing the Thousand Islands Bridge and is not directly on the water.
It's right close to 12 and 81, and it is suitable for their flotation, their watercraft. So we think it's all around good area, good suggestion, and are discouraged that they have declined it.
Advocacy group Save the River says Blind Bay remains CBP's primary choice, though Gray says he's been told by the governor that that location is off the table.